the moms I ever worked with before becoming a mom myself a formal apology. I'm Kate, I'm a registered dietitian, and I've been a dietitian in private practice here at Nutrition Awareness since I was 24 years old. And I did not become a mom until right when I turned 30 years old. And boy, do I wish I had done things differently when I consulted with clients looking to eat healthier, lose weight, while navigating motherhood. But honestly, perspective is everything. I couldn't have known exactly how those parents, especially women, were feeling. I did my best, but this episode is dedicated to all of those women who I helped but maybe didn't fully understand. And now, because I'm a mom and I've been a mom for almost a year and a half, I definitely see how much more challenging it is and how you just have to go about healthy living and nutrition and exercise in a totally different manner. And in today's episode, I'm going to share with you the traits that parents, but especially mothers, need to practice in order to really become their healthiest selves while navigating the seasons that come along with parenthood. And full disclosure, I have a toddler, so I know that I don't have full perspective on what it's like to have multiple kids or to have to drive multiple kids to different schools or sports. Everybody's parenthood journey is a little bit different. But today I'm hoping to offer you some skills to practice no matter where you are in that journey from my own experience, but also the experiences I've learned with the nearly thousands of people that I've helped work with as a dietitian over the years. So if you don't know me, welcome. My name is Kait Richardson. I'm a registered dietitian and a wellness speaker here in private practice in Orlando. We see clients in our office here near Winter Park, and we also do virtual visits for people all around the world. So if you want to work with a dietitian, might I recommend our practice? There's two of us here. You've probably heard Megan on other episodes, and I see people who are looking to reach their goals using food and nutrition. And for our podcast listeners, we are offering $50 off any coaching package between now and September 1st. So if you know you work with one of us for the long haul, we have our coaching packages and their pricing completely transparent on our website. I will link that below, nutritionawareness.com. And if you book a coaching package, not just an initial consult, a whole package with either 3, 5, or 9 sessions, you can use code podcast50 at checkout and get $50 off. And that will be the start of your brand new journey. So please reach out if you have questions, and we look forward to working with you. But let's get into today's episode. So a little bit of, I remember I had this one client that I worked with when I was probably 26. So I had a few years of private practice under my belt, and she came in and she was a mom of 2. And she was exhausted. And I remember her really being motivated. Her heart was in it. She was ready to do whatever it took. She had done whatever it took in the past before she had kids. She knew how to eat healthy and she knew how to exercise for her body. But it was just really hard to put all those pieces into place. And so with any client, what I do is I ask them, what in the life looks like, not only just schedule-wise, but food-wise. When are you eating? What are you drinking? And so this specific woman, she happened to be a stay-at-home mom of 2 kiddos. And so in my brain, I was like, great, you don't have to commute. You don't have to go to work. You have all the time and resources at your disposal because you work at work and you're at home with 2 kids. And I feel like just an idiot. Because it's so much harder when you're balancing 1, let alone 2 kids, because there's nap times and there's tantrums and you have to keep them busy. And doing something as simple as like chopping a carrot can feel like a really hard task if you've got somebody like crying at your feet or somebody who's, pantry and pulling out something dangerous that you didn't even realize was in there. And then you're just running all over the place. Plus the mental load that women carry. This is nothing new. We've all heard about the mental load. It's just all of the thoughts and emotions that come along with being a mom, how you balance all of the things that just somehow show up on your schedule. Like before I was a mom, I just had no idea how much time it takes to just organize your life with kids. There's so much that you can't quite account for for being productivity. What I mean by that, and I know I just misspoke there, but let's say that you have this to-do list And what I used to do with clients who are moms is say like, well, look at your to-do list and how do we make healthy eating and exercise more of a priority on your to-do list? And their to-do lists would be kind of shorter, maybe, or reasonable. They'd be reasonable. Nothing I hadn't seen before. Care of yourself, dogs, clean the house, for working moms, go to work. And my solution would be like, well, we just need to prioritize food and exercise. We need to just put this at the top of your priorities. And you have the same 24 hours as somebody else in the day. Let's just make this more of a priority. Instead of looking at your phone or watching TV during nap time, why don't you get down on the floor and do a Pilates workout in your living room or whatever. Like, it's all that advice is really good on paper, and it does work for people who don't have as complex of lives as mothers. And I know that there are people who have other right that aren't just parenthood, but I'm speaking in terms of parenthood for today's session. And what I didn't realize is that sometimes your kid doesn't nap, or you battle that kid to nap. Like you're spending all this time and energy trying to shush that kid to sleep, or you just give in and you do a contact nap and the kid's napping on you, and that's your whole break. And you want that break, but it just means you can't go do other things. And then maybe when that child wakes up, sure, you could do a workout or you could do something, but all the things that you would have gotten done in this time have not been done because you were present for your child during nap time. And that's just one example. Another would be if your kid just is your dog on a leash, you dress your kid, you dress yourself, you've got your sneakers on. We're here in Florida, so you have to get outside to do things relatively early in the summer. Otherwise, it's brutally hot, and you cannot bring a young child out in that heat. It's just not responsible and uncomfortable. And let you get all that stuff done, you're laced up, ready to go, 7:30 a.m., and then your kid has a blowout. And you have to go clean their poopy diaper and take care of all of the mess. And realize like, oh my gosh, you forgot to give them a snack or breakfast. So then you hustle around and you try to get them fed, and then you realize you're not fed, but you go out anyway. And by then it's super hot. Like, all things can happen. So then your walk is cut short, and it's also just mentally exhausting. And today's podcast isn't to go over all of the different unexpected obstacles that happen with parenthood, but it's to give you some tools to practice to help you better navigate how to be healthy and be a mom, because really it's just not as cut and dry as I thought it would be. And so when I was thinking about this episode and I was reflecting on not only myself, but another client I had today who has a child in a similar age range as mine, and we were talking about just the exhaustion and the things that we have to give up in order to be a great parent and somebody healthy. And there are 4 traits that I thought of today that I think all mothers should practice. And I really want to emphasize that this is a practice. These are things that maybe you already have, but just have been dormant, or you haven't tapped into them for a while. Maybe the traits you don't realize that you have, but you do. Or maybe you have to reframe these as skills, because some of these may not come naturally to some people, but they are skills that you can work on and practice. I always like to say that healthy eating and cooking and living, a lot of that is a skill. It's a new muscle in our brain that we're organizing. So don't be afraid to see this as something you're working on and not just something you have to automatically have tomorrow. The first thing that I think is the most important skill is planning within reason. So planning is important for everybody, no matter if you're a mom, if you're a working mom, if you're a stay-at-home mom, or somebody without kids or who wants kids, or even a grandparent, right? I do believe planning is one of those skills and habits that separate people who thrive and people who just continuously flop. But when you become a parent, your planning has to be a little bit different. So for example, I used to say, well, you sit down on Sunday and you can plan all of your meals, and then you can go to the grocery store, and then right when you get home from the store, you can start washing your vegetables and chopping your vegetables and blah, 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 blah. Now I realize with being a mom, first of all, I'm on a tighter schedule because of nap time. Second of all, my kid might just freak out and I might be alone and I don't have somebody there to help me. I have to just manage his surprises with time and with all these extra things. And to plan effectively, I need to be able to concentrate, which means I have to do that either when he's asleep at nap time or with somebody who's watching them. And for your case, it might be daycare, or maybe you don't have a lot of help and your time to plan is limited. So you must plan within reason. You have to find the windows in which you can plan, and you also have to really simplify that planning process. So this season might not be the season where you go on like really popular food blog like Food Harvest. I can't remember what it's called, but I used to get all my recipes from her, and she just has like 12 recipes with tons of ingredients, and it was really fun to like put all that stuff together. I just do not have that now, so I'm going to find really simple recipes. I think Fit Foodie Finds and Real Food Dietitians are really great resources for simple recipes that taste good. Are they going to blow your socks off? Probably not. They're just simple, healthy recipes that get the job done. So when you're planning, you might need to actively search for 15-minute dinners, or you might have to search for 5-ingredient dinners, or you have to just kind of things over and over again because you know that people like them and they don't stress you out too much. Don't feel like you have to go and seek out crazy things. You should also plan for recipes and meals that maybe your child will like, so you don't have to make a bunch of meals. I told a client the other day, he has 3 daughters and they're all old enough to put together a peanut butter sandwich. And he said, I don't like to plan meals because someone's going to whine about what I'm making. And we came to this agreement that we were just going to let them whine and, cater to their taste buds, but somebody in the house is not going to be happy. One of the 3 daughters or the mom or the dad isn't going to be thrilled. And say, hey, if you don't want what's for dinner that mom and dad made you, you can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And those kids are old enough that they could do it, or they could help each other do it. And I gave him a recommendation for a jelly that's really healthy. It's called Smash. We talk about it on the podcast all the time. Smash jelly, you could put that with peanut butter and whole grain bread, and that's their option. So it takes some stress off of you, and you still get to focus on what would be best for your family. Because we all know that kids, especially young kids, their flavor preferences just change like the wind. My child loves salmon, but now when he puts it in his mouth, he makes a face and then rips it out of his mouth and just throws it on the floor. So I'm just going to keep trying salmon, but if he's not going to eat it, I have to have some other safe and healthy foods that don't put a lot of pressure on me. So planning within reason. This to go with your workouts. You have to be really reasonable with yourself. Here's something that happens a lot to moms. Maybe in college or before they had kids, they worked out a lot and they did 5 days a week and they never worked out for less than 45 minutes and they got results and they felt great. And now anything less than that feels not worth doing. And I really challenge you to not see it that way. Yes, it feels great when we're able to get the amount of workouts that we want in a week. Maybe we go at the intensity we prefer, or we go the duration we prefer. But those are now luxuries and nice to haves. They might be the day-to-day expectation. So it's just bonus points when you're able to do more or what you like to do. But for now in this season, you might just have to dumb down your workouts, and I promise you that's okay, and they are 1,000% worth doing, because sometimes less is more in weight loss and health and all of that. So if you used to go to the gym and you used to lift weights for an hour, maybe you can only go for 30 minutes when your partner's home and you just kind of race there, race back. Or maybe you do home workouts in your living room. I love to go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. And now I'm lucky if it happens 3, but it's usually twice. So on that 3rd or 4th day, I just do a Pilates workout on YouTube. And my son is often playing in the living room with me. And he loves when I get on the floor. And he's going to like crawl on me. And, it's not like if I'm laying down on my back and doing sit-ups or hip thrusts, he's going to want to sit on my torso now. And I just laugh because it's fun. It's not the best form I've ever had, but I am getting like 30 extra resistance. So I'm just planning to do a home workout that is not going to be as effective or as long as maybe my gym workouts, but that's okay. That they're still worth doing. So plan, and then plan within reason. And if you need help doing this, this is what Megan and I do. We can help you create this plan and do it in a way that actually fits your lifestyle and gets the results. But here's the second trait that I think all moms need, and that is self-compassion. Because we can plan and we can have this beautiful intention, and then shit hits the fan. Your kid gets sick, who's going to be there to help you watch the kid while you went and got a workout in, has to work late. Or something happened where, the care that you had planned just falls through. Daycare's closed. Or maybe it's like a thunderstorm when you plan to go to the grocery store, and going outside with a baby in the rain during a thunderstorm just feels not only terrifying, but just a huge hassle that you're not comfortable with, right? Like all the stuff's going to happen. So you have to give yourself compassion when your plan does not go to plan. But here's the next step is you have to have grit. You have to have tenacity. Grit, I looked up the definition for this podcast because I think the definition of grit in the dictionary is perfect. So it said this: grit in the context of personal qualities refers to a combination of passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's the ability to maintain focus and effort over extended periods, even when faced with challenges or setbacks. It's not just about having a goal, but also the drive and determination to see it through. So, wow, we often think of grit in the context of like the world or for athletes, right? Like, oh, you keep grinding, you keep hustling, you make it through. But what if we even see grit in more of a gentler lens as a mom, right? When you have this plan to make this healthy dinner and you realize that you burned the chicken because you were helping the baby and you lost track of time and it all got gross in the oven. Or you realize that instead of buying cilantro, you bought parsley and the recipe is just not going to taste the same, right? Or you just lost track of time and you went out to eat and you got a pizza. Okay, life plan doesn't go perfectly, but grit is the ability to say, hey, that was really challenging. Being healthy, cooking home-cooked meals, making things from scratch, going to the grocery store to pick up healthy, less processed ingredients is not a walk in the park, and yet you still keep going even if it doesn't go perfectly or if it's really hard, because you have to know why it's worth it. So you have to have a vision, you have to have a why, you have to having something meaningful to help you have that grit to get through. I want to share with you my whys. I have a few whys. Why I choose to eat healthy, why I choose to exercise, even though my kid doesn't sleep that great, even now that we're entering toddlerhood. Even though I work part-time with a long commute, okay? Here's why. Number one, I don't feel good when I eat like shit. I don't show up as the best version of Kate. I'm not the best mom. I'm not the best wife. I'm not the best dietitian. I just don't function well. And to me, the most important part of life is living a full life and feeling good while I do it. What's the point of doing all these things if the whole time you're dragging or you're exhausted or you're preoccupied with how you look or how, you feel? Like maybe you just grabbed like a sugary cereal and you didn't even put it in milk. You just munched on it on the way to your appointment and then you just feel bleh. That's just not worth it for me. I hate that feeling. I hate feeling bad. And when you're a mother, there's already so many things that can make you feel off, like sleep deprivation or inability for a lot of self-care or time by yourself or time with friends. Like that comes with the territory. So I'm going to make sure that I fuel well. That is so important to me. And so even if we have a night where I'm not cooking, my husband's not cooking, it's like we just got to get something on the table and it's not the most nutritious thing. Whatever, I'm going to go on the next day. Or maybe the day I planned to do my workout, like everything was perfect. I had somebody to watch my kid and we got a full night's sleep, and then I wake up with my period and it hurts so bad. And I just no, it's not good for my body to do a heavy workout. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe I just go take a walk and I just persevere anyway, just in a different way, even if it doesn't look perfect and even if it's a little inconvenient. That's the importance of grit. So it's knowing your why and really connecting to it and moving forward. And if you don't know your why, let me give you some inspiration. It could be because you had a challenging first pregnancy and you want to get pregnant again and you want to do it in a way that feels better. You want to be the healthiest version of you when you get pregnant or try to conceive again or give birth or postpartum. And you want a different experience and you want to set yourself up as best you can. Maybe all about aesthetics, and there is no shame in that. You want to be a hot mom. You want to have, the body you've ever had in your 30s and 40s, and that means something to you. No shame in your game. Just make sure you're persevering and giving yourself a lot of self-compassion, because it's going to be a different road than it was in your 20s. Perhaps your why is because you've got a big event coming up and you've been very self-conscious and you're tired of feeling self-conscious. You're tired of feeling run down and exhausted, and you want to feel like your best self at this special event, and that's a meaningful thing to you. That's okay too. So know your why. Perhaps it's medical. Maybe you have insulin resistance. Maybe you have prediabetes. Maybe you have high cholesterol. And now you've got this tiny little human and you're like, I will be around forever to watch you grow up and to be present with you. So know your why and connect with it. Revisit it often, daily, multiple times a day, so that you use that path and you understand the importance of grit. The last trait I think moms need to practice is, I couldn't decide which word to use. Is it flexibility or creativity? And I'm going to go with creativity, because I think this stuff goes with the self-compassion and the planning a little bit. It's, hey, plan with flexibility, plan with reason. But I also think creativity is a skill that will take moms to the next level. And about creativity, like what comes to mind when you think of creativity? I think of like kids' little crafts, like those little popsicle sticks glued together, and it's just like this hot mess, but it's still amazing because it's your kids. Or I think of like a painting where you look at it and you feel like you're supposed to know how you're supposed to feel looking at it. Like you go to an art museum or an art gallery and you're like, what am I supposed to feel as I look at this painting, right? I know what to feel. But that's what I picture, just kind of mess. And but a beautiful mess. And I think that's what moms need too, is if you're type A and you're rigid and you like routine and you like things to look Instagrammable, or you like things to look like your old life, I do let that go, because being healthy in a mom takes a lot of creativity. And so let me give you examples. For one, it's, hey, maybe you really loved to take hot girl walks before you had a kid. And you'd put on your ankle boots and you'd put on your sexy leggings, and that was very motivating for you to go out there and you take your walk. But now you have a stroller and snacks, and you have to be really creative with how you get your heart rate up when you've got a kid in the stroller, and the older they get, or even the younger they get, they might just be done, right? They might just tell you they're done and it's awful and it's over. So you might be creative with the things that you bring to entertain them. Maybe you bring toys and snacks and water, or maybe you don't get to listen to your music because you're singing to them. You know the song? Does anyone else know the happy song? I used to have to sing that to my baby when we'd be out on a walk far from home and he was just a temper tantrum. So I would sing the happy song or play it on my phone, and that's what kept us going. Was it ideal? No. But was it creative enough to get us through so I could get my 5,000 steps? You bet. Also, you might have to be creative with your planning and how you do your meals. Maybe you look at a recipe that calls for all of these ingredients from scratch, but you go to the grocery store and you buy everything pre-prepped and you get a bunch of ingredients that are already made and require little to no effort, and you just throw them together and it's enough. Does it follow a recipe perfectly? No. But is it a bunch of healthy stuff all mixed together? Yes. My best tactic for this is the build a balanced bowl method. I have a free download on my website that I'm going to link below, KaitRichardsonRD.com. And you can download this bowl method. And I had this client one time, she and I were talking, and she said, what really struck a chord with me is you said that a meal doesn't have to make sense for it to taste good and be healthy. So she thought if she was going to make like a rice bowl, it had to have all these different coordinating ingredients that made sense, meaning like you would find it on a menu. So a taco bowl at a restaurant is going to have certain ingredients, right? You wouldn't find like Kalamata or sugar snap peas in a Tex-Mex type bowl. But if you have chicken and rice at home and you have bell peppers and onions, but you also have, olives for your healthy fats or some kind of healthier dressing that you wouldn't find in a Tex-Mex bowl, who cares? Put it together. It's healthy. It makes a balanced, healthy meal that tastes good. It just doesn't make sense on a menu. So download that guide. It's free. I'm going to link it below. And that can help you just put together a bunch of healthy meals. It has columns of different food groups, and all you do is just pick one thing or more from each column, throw it together, and you got a healthy bowl. I also put like 8 or 9 recipe ideas on the back and low-calorie ways to add flavor. If you make it and you're like, this is kind of bland, you can just add a bunch of stuff easily to make it really satisfying. So getting a bit creative with your cooking. You can also get creative with your meal planning. So a lot of us traditionally think we sit there with our pen and paper and we peruse through recipes when we meal plan. you might not have to do that. You might need to meal plan really quick. So if your kids are in school activities, perhaps while you're on the bleachers, you do your meal planning, or you're in after school pickup and you're in your car, you might order your groceries from Instacart right there, or schedule them to be ordered, or get them for pickup. Don't utilize grocery delivery and pickup. It's amazing. Kroger, Instacart, all of those things are maybe, during nap time, you have to do some meal planning, but you do it quick. I used to contact nap a lot, and I still do, admittedly. My son will be on my lap, and I can use my phone, and I can just go through Instacart and put all the things in my cart. And even if I end up going to the grocery store, I just use that as a list. So I have my list there. I just did it digitally. And like I said, if you're doing workouts at home, maybe your kids are there playing with you, or you get them involved and you understand this isn't going to be the most kick-ass workout you've ever had, but you're using what you've got. So these are just some of the ideas that I came up with. I would love to know if you have any ideas for how you get creative with healthy living with kids. Is it having them join you in cooking or grocery shopping? Is it sitting at the playground, swapping recipe ideas with other moms? Is it doing a mom meetup where everybody brings a healthy recipe that they tried? What kind of healthy things do you do that might be a little bit creative or unthought of? I would love to know. If you leave a comment on Spotify in this podcast, you can always do that, or you can send me a DM on Instagram and I will share it. We're at nutrition.awareness. So, on the podcast here, because I could just go on and on about motherhood, and the whole inspiration for this podcast was just me thinking how much differently I would coach my clients years ago who were moms, and that I just understand. I just thought it was all about prioritizing things differently, but I realized that there's just so much to that. People, the most disciplined women, still struggle with prioritizing themselves with motherhood, because it changes your brain, it changes your life, it changes your schedule. And wow, we're just warriors in every single way, really. Moms, stay-at-home moms, working moms, breastfeeding moms, formula feeding moms, like all moms are just so amazing. And yeah, we really need to give ourselves grace while maintaining grit. If you found this podcast helpful, I would love to know. And of course, again, that podcast coupon, if you want to work with Megan or I and really form a relationship with a dietitian who wants to understand you and help you get to a new place, you can use code podcast50 at checkout for any of our coaching packages. Everyone who calls us and asks questions about the coaching packages, that you don't have to commit to a coaching package up front. So if you want to book an initial consultation with us, see what that's all about before committing to any of our packages, you can do that too. Just mention the podcast 50 coupon code and we will honor that code for you. You don't have to pay anything in advance. You can kind of talk first and see how it goes. I can't wait to see you guys on the next episode, and enjoy your week. Bye.